shut up, you listen to my monkey mouth. There's a companion when you got pun on the canoa route. Hopped in a portal and got in a fight, Elias knocked him out. Bow, Naruto fighting style. Bow, UFC he tapped out. Bow, we win, we get crowned. Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.
What is up, Armchair Army? It's good to have you back. This is Josh, and on this episode, we're going to be previewing UFC 276. We're also going to go over the UFC Fight Night Qatar versus Emmett, and the UFC on ESPN Sarukian versus Gamrot, because these are both really good cards. I'm going to go over them kind of quickly, and then I'm just going to fucking gas up 276 because I'm too fucking hype. I'm not content just to do a review on it. I want to talk about it beforehand, and I didn't get to talk about it enough on the previous one. So we're gonna give it its own episode. Yellow. It's my podcast. We'll do what the fuck I want. So Qatar versus Emmett. I was in the stands. I was at this fight. I thought Qatar won. Cater. Excuse me. I don't mean to pronounce his name wrong. Cater. I thought Cater won. I was there watching it live. It seemed like Josh Emmett moved forward more, but it seemed like Cater was pretty effectively defending himself from everything that Josh was throwing, and it seemed like Cater was landing the more effective counter strikes. I mean, you can see Josh was all fucking busted up. Yeah, I thought that Cater won the fight whenever I was there live. Maybe if I was at home and I was watching it in perfect HD and you have all the camera angles and the replays and everything and you could see what was landing and not, maybe I just wasn't quite seeing it right while I was there. But yeah, I definitely thought that Cater won the fight whenever I was there live. And that's fact. But it's not like I'm mad. Josh Emmett's fantastic. I mean, what's he like, 18-2? Yeah, 18-2, man. The guy's a beast. He punches super hard. He's a great wrestler. Great boxing. Yeah. He's like big trouble for basically anybody in the division. And frankly, if Max Holloway doesn't get it done at 276, I feel like it's pretty much got to be him for the title shot. And if it isn't him for the title shot, then there's got to be like a qualifier between him and Ortega to see who winds up getting the title shot. But I don't think that's necessarily the way it's going to go. Yeah, I think what's most likely is, as much as I hate to say it, because I'm a huge Max Holloway jock rider. But if you're speaking about probabilities, man, it's probably most likely that Volkanovski gets it done again. And we wind up seeing Josh Emmett versus Volkanovski. Unless Volkanovski wants to move up or do something. Because, I mean, at this point, Dana White's been pretty clear about him being down to do basically whatever Volkanovski wants to at this point, considering the level of work that he's put in his division. Kevin Holland versus Tim Means. Kevin Holland's a man on fire right now. He's chasing down crackheads. He's saving people at the fucking diner. He's whooping ass. He's dropped down to welterweight, and he is looking, I mean, he hasn't lost yet, and he's looking great, man. He wobbled Tim Means on the feet, and Tim Means kind of went in for a sloppy takedown, and he cinched up a Darce, and that was that. He's got those long O arms. They're going to have to give him someone in the top 15 next. It's just the bottom line. That's just all there is to it. They're going to have to give that man somebody in the top 15. Next was Joaquin Buckley versus Dumaev. And this was a really fun fight. I didn't mind this fight at all. I'm going to pull up the rankings real quick so we can see who I would like to see Kevin Holland fighting in the future. So he's now at welterweight. So, I mean, there's just all kinds of fun fights right off the bat. I mean, Michel Pereira, Li Jilang, guys like Michael Chiesa, Neil Magny, Gilnoff. These are all fucking firefights that I would love to see Kevin Holland in. He has an 80-inch reach. He was fighting at middleweight. He's dropping down. I feel like he's a big guy for that division at this point. And to see the way he handled Tim Means, he definitely seemed like the bigger, stronger, and the faster fighter in that fight. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does with the rest of the division. So the next fight on the card was I got distracted and started talking about Kevin Holland again. Joaquin Butley versus Albert Dumiev. Joaquin Butley looked fantastic. He beat that dude up, and basically between the second and third round, he couldn't come off the stool. I don't know if the doctor called it, if it was a doctor stoppage, or if he just didn't want to get off the stool no more. But at the end of the day, Joaquin Butley did it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do for him next moving forward. Damir Ismaggulov got the 3-round decision over Gumar Kutuladze. It's a good fight. These are two real good guys. At the end of the day, Damir got the job done. Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez put Julian Marquez to super sleep, and Julian's a tough guy. I actually I had picked Julian to win the fight, and because I thought that RoboCop was going to go out there and gas out trying to finish him with all those big old muscles on him, and by the end of the third round, Julian Marquez was going to have the tide that was going to have come in and drowned him, and that's not how it happened, man. Gregory's got big old power in his hands, and he knocked Julian around, and that was that. Oop. Let's see here. Donald Cerrone, Joe Lozon got canceled. That was a bummer. Adrian Yanez got the TKO over Tony Kelly in the first round. This is a crazy fight. These are crazy fights, man. This is a really, really fun night of fights, man. I had fun there. That's enough about that card. I mean, we can go into the prelims real quick. Yeah, there was one I wanted to talk about in particular was Jeremiah Wells. The way he put out Court McGee. Court McGee was straight up on the cross status. It was pretty nuts. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do Court McGee like that. So Jeremiah Wells, probably a guy to keep your eye on, man. Super, super explosive athlete over there in that division. Up next is UFC on ESPN, Sarkurian versus Gamrot. This is a really fun fight. This is a really, really fun night of fights. It really was. Gamrot wound up getting the decision, 5-round decision over Sarkurian. It was a fantastic fight. I reckon that Gamrot was down 2 rounds and turned it on and got the W. So come from behind victory in a main event. I mean, it's just the shit legends are made of, man. It was great. It was a great fight. Obviously two of the very best at what they're doing. I mean, they're very, very, very talented guys. But lightweight's just so stacked. I mean, there's so many fucking big sharks at 155 that it's just hard to even fathom what comes next for either of those guys. I mean, there's so much talent between here and there. They're just gonna keep having good fights. That's that for sure. Keep winning. They just won a main event. You keep winning, you'll find someone ranked eventually, and you'll keep climbing that ladder so long you keep winning. But right now, I don't necessarily know what's next, and I'm not going to dive too far off into it right now because I'm wanting to get to 276. Rakhmonov, 16-0? Man, beast. I was absolutely not expecting him to do to Neil Magny what he did to Neil Magny. It was really a fascinating performance, man. I mean, he looked like he had the advantage on the feet. It looked like he had the advantage whenever they got into the grappling exchanges against the cage. It looked like he had the advantage whenever they were on. I mean, he definitely had the advantage when they were on the ground. Really controlled a crafty and intelligent Neil Magny, man. I didn't think that I would see him hold Neil Magny down the way he did, and he absolutely did. It was a fascinating performance, and he's finished every one of his fights. He's a guy to keep an eye out on, man. He's going to be fun fights every time. Josh Parisian got the TKO over Alan Boudreaux. Josh didn't necessarily look like a world beater. He wasn't really hitting him with it turned into grappling. Boudreaux, I believe, just lacked the technical ability and the cardio to get off of the ground once all Parisian had taken him down. His corner really called for it, and he did a good job listening to his corner. But he basically just had to pat him 100 times in a row until the ref finally stopped it. I mean, he wasn't about to. I don't think he was going to hurt him really, really bad the way he was doing it. But at the end of the day, the guy definitely wasn't intelligently defending himself, and so the ref went ahead and stopped it. And it was good work. It was good work, really good work. Good on him. We'll see what comes next. I don't see him getting a title shot anytime real soon. Thiago Moises got the first round submission over Christos Gainos. It's a fun fight. Umar Nurmagomedov, cousin of Khabib, had Khabib in the corner. Dude looked like a world beater. It's another real good guy to keep an eye out for. Just exceedingly good in the grappling. Looks way good in the grappling. Way too good. Gonna have an advantage in every fight that he goes into in that department. Chris Gertis got a 3-round decision over Vieira. That was also a fun fight. See if there's anything in the prelims I want to talk about. Oh, Carlos Ulberg looked great. Got a knockout 1 minute and 15 seconds into the first round. Big power. Big power out of that guy. Someone to keep an eye on. Looked really nice and technical. Looked really calm and cool and collected. Guy's definitely going to be busting some heads. But now, on to 276. Before I even watched this, I watched the UFC Countdown and really enjoyed it. And the main event is Israel Adesanya and Jared Cannonier. And this is a barn burner, man. They're both excellent fighters. I think that, obviously, Israel Adesanya is the biggest favorite on the card, and for good reason. He's probably the best mixed martial arts striker that we've ever seen. At least one of them. He's really that good. I think that Jared Cannonier provides some unique challenges, though, right? He's to fight at heavyweight, you know what I'm saying? He's got big boy power, and I think that he's got more core strength than anybody that he's fought, that anybody that Israel has fought yet, right? I think that he's stronger in his core than Derek Brunson. You saw how those exchanges went whenever Derek Brunson tried to grapple with Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier was able to force him off because he was literally stronger in the core, is the way it looked like whenever they were fighting before. And that's from those years of packing around that heavyweight weight. And so I think that if Jared can get him against the cage, I think that he, as a guy who once weighed more than Jan Blachowicz, might still have the core strength of that person, of that weight there, and he might be able to leverage it and get him to the ground. And he's been pretty adamant about how he's going to be there to, his game plan is to exploit the weaknesses of his opponent. And so he doesn't necessarily want to go do anything. He wants to figure out where your weak point is and break you from that. And so it's a respectable way to play it. Big fan of Jared Cannonier. Big fan of Jared Cannonier. I hope it's a great fight. But if I got to pick it, I got to go Israel Adesanya. Again, he's just the GOAT right now, and that's that. You know, he's probably one of the most dominant 185 champs we've ever had. Especially if he keeps winning, you know what I'm saying? It's a fun time to watch Israel Adesanya fight. I'm here for it. I'll pay for my money, take my money every time. The next fight on the card is Alexander Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. Have these guys fight every weekend. I swear. I'm happy to pay them every weekend for this fight. You know, if I'm being real honest, when I watched the first fight, you know, they always say you gotta do enough to like take it from the champ, and I didn't think that Volkanovski had done enough to take it from Max Holloway the first time they fought. And then I didn't feel like Max had done enough to take it away from him the second time they fought. You know, but here's the thing: is that I felt like, in my God's honest opinion, I felt like Volk had won the first fight slightly, but with it, I didn't think it was enough to take the belt, you know? But then it was the exact same thing whenever they fought the next time. You know, Holloway, I felt like really won the fight, but I didn't think it was enough to take the belt, right? And it's just a bummer that it didn't go his way either time, because if you look at the stats from the first fight, it's like they had their numbers flip-flopped, right? And like if there was truly objective and consistent scoring in the way that they're scoring these fights, based on the numbers, I feel like it would have went to Holloway the second time they fought, and just for some reason it didn't. And so, I mean, there's a reason why they're having him fight a third time, even though it's 0-2 to Volkanovski, right? And the bottom line is that if Volkanovski really wants to solidify his place as like the king of 145 and as to really put himself in that GOAT talk, he's got to put the Max Holloway thing to rest. And, you know, I think that I don't necessarily think that a super convincing win is necessarily required. I think that he could win another close one, and that would put it. I mean, you beat the guy 3 times. What more can you fucking ask out of a human being? He beat him 3 times in a row. You know what I'm saying? But if he comes out and does something really impressive, and like separates himself in a really significant way, or even gets a finish, it's gonna be like a really big thing for him. But with that being said, I'm a Max Holloway bopper. I'm going to be pulling for Max Holloway the entire time. I really am hopeful for Max Holloway. He's like a sweet dude, a good dad. He like plays video games, like all kinds of up my alley. Really. I do think that like me and Max Holloway would fucking smoke a bowl and like have a great time. And then obviously, depending on how this goes, I feel like if Volko wins, he either moves up or fights Josh Emmett, and if Max Holloway wins, then they just run this back immediately. The next fight on the card is Sean Strickland versus Alex Pereira, and this is a real interesting fight, right? Sean Strickland definitely fancies himself like a striker, and he's really good at it. But I think that Alex Pereira is a whole different monster. He literally defeated Israel Adesanya in kickboxing twice. So there's a reason why he's fighting third on the card and why he's on the same card as Israel, right? They're really trying to build that up to see, to you know, have the guy who beat Israel twice in the past come back and challenge him in MMA. And, you know, maybe Alex is actually the better kickboxer, but this isn't straight up kickboxing. This is mixed martial arts, and I don't think that there's anybody who's doing MMA striking better than Israel Adesanya right now. I mean, if you show me who you think it is, who's doing it better, and you know, there's some great guys, and you know, certainly there's some like good arguments. I'm not going to have like a big to do because you think someone's better than him, but I mean, it's a short list of people in the category of Israel Adesanya in terms of effectiveness of mixed martial arts striking, and that's just the bottom line. But we're going to see how it goes. I feel like if Alex wins, it's a guaranteed jetpack to Israel, right? He wins, he calls out Israel. Israel goes out there and wins and acknowledges Alex, and then they have the fight set up for Israel to redeem himself for those 2 losses in kickboxing, and everybody's going to make a fuck ton of money. With that being said, I feel like if Sean Strickland wins, he should get the same treatment. He should, if this is going to be a title qualifier for Alex Pereira, then this should also be a title qualifier for Sean Strickland. That's very much how I feel. I think that's the only fair way to play it. And so that's what I would be gunning for, is whoever wins that fight winds up fighting the winner of Israel and Jared. Well, if Jared wins, then they probably need to do an immediate rematch between him and Israel. I think that's the only appropriate way to play that, to be really honest. I think he can do it. He's a very, very, very strong guy. We've got Robbie Lawler versus Ryan Barberena. This is going to be a barn burner, period. Ryan is a really fast starter, and Robbie Lawler is a really strong finisher. So if it's gonna go either way, I think it's gonna be that Ryan finishes Robbie early, or Robbie finishes or wins a decisive decision in the 2nd and 3rd round over Brian. But we're gonna see how that pans out. And then Lauren Murphy. Oh, there's Pedro Munoz and Sean O'Malley. Man, Sean O'Malley's my dude. Repping the weed people. I've been a weed head for pretty much my entire adult life. So, yeah, anybody who's doing that, I'm gonna fucks with on the personal level. And then obviously he's a really fun fighter, and I enjoy watching his fights, and I enjoy the way he promotes himself in his business. So it's a lot of fun. Pedro Munoz, the big step up in competition for him. I think it's going to be a really tough challenge. I hope that Sean gets it done. I wouldn't be surprised if Pedro pulls it off. I say that. I'd probably be a little surprised if Pedro pulled it off. I feel like this is Sean's fight. If I'm being really, really honest. But again, it is a big step up. It is a big test. This is where we're going to know for sure exactly how for real Sean O'Malley is. Let's see what's going on in these prelims. Brad Riddell versus Jalen Turner. That's a fun fight. Real fun fight. Jim Miller versus Donald Cerrone. I was supposed to watch Donald Cerrone fight in Austin, but now he's fighting Jim Miller at welterweight and at 276, which is cool for him. That's great. Ian Gary, versus Gabe Green. Ian Gary's someone to keep an eye on, man, for real. Really, really, tune in for that guy. Brad Tavares versus, I don't even know who that fella is, Dricus Duplessis. I'm a big Brad Tavares fan, but I don't know how that fight goes because I don't know enough about the other fellow. Uriah Hall versus Andre Muniz will be fun. Jessica I, Macy Barber, that's fun. Jessica Rose Clark versus, I don't know how to say this lady's name, unfortunately. I mean, no disrespect, but Stolyarenko. So, Jessica I and Macy Barber's for sure fun. I don't know how the other fight's going to go, but man, 276 is going to be a barn burner from top to bottom. I can't wait to watch it. Yeah, that's the bottom line, guys. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. Kind of a short episode, but again, like I said, I couldn't contain my enthusiasm for 276, so I got me a quick recording in, and hopefully somebody listens to it and appreciates it. Guys, thank you all so much. I always appreciate the good vibes. It's Joshua. Peace out, Armchair Army.
Monkey mouth, monkey mouth, monkey mouth.